From KETK, you're watching East Texas Live.
Welcome back to East Texas Live. Joining me now is Daintee Hurst-Dietz, a licensed Medicare specialist, and she's here to talk about working after 65. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so you know, many people are still working at the age of 65. Should they choose Medicare or their company's insurance?
That's a great question, and I get that a lot. People assume that if they're working, they can't transition to Medicare. The majority of the time it's much better as far as cost and coverage, but we always do a review because there are specific instances that it may not be, but it's always good to put it side by side and just take a look.
Yes, and what's some of the key factors when you look at comparing these two?
Well, first, the biggest thing is it just them on their company plan? Do they have a spouse that's underage? Do they have dependents? That's a big thing. Even though we can move them to an individual program, that is a key factor. Also prescriptions, but 99% of the time, it's a lot better for them to move on with all the things line up.
Yes, so for people that stick with an employer plan at the age of 65, should they still get registered with Medicare?
That's a great question too. You know, it's kind of like you'd almost be double dipping and paying for both if you went full Medicare A and B. Some people do Medicare A because that's what you paid into all this time. Helps you with catastrophic coverage and it'll work in conjunction with your company plan. But you don't need to do all of it, but I can help advise on whether you need to do that.
Yes, ma'am. And so when someone over the age of 65 retires, are they able to kind of switch over to a Medicare plan, you know, during the year?
That's another great question. That it's turning 65 or leaving company coverage, even if you're still working, is like a qualifying event of having a baby, getting married, something like that. So that can happen at any time throughout the year. So a lot of people are doing it this time of year because company coverage is beginning for the year as well. But yeah, it can happen any time of year.
Yes, I mean, can you still assist someone with Medicare plan selection if they're employed?
Yes, I do it all the time. That's again where we look and we get all the factors that are important to them to make sure that leap is appropriate, and then I kind of give them their options, and then we take them off and move them to Medicare.
Yes, ma'am. And so, you know, how much do your services cost, and how can someone get started with you?
Well, we'll have an initial conversation. There is no charge. A lot of people do think that we charge for our services, but there's an agent tied to every program, and so there's someone, whether it be over the phone or on the internet or anything like that, that's getting paid to help you that you'll never speak to again. So you'll have my number, you'll have me, I'll send you birthday cards, you know, you'll have a part of the family. So keeping my number close in your connections is a good idea.
That's awesome right there. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yes, and for more information, go to the website right here on your screen. We'll be back with more KETK's East Texas Live in just a couple of minutes.